The vast emptiness of space around Kepler 442 suddenly filled with ships. Thousands of them appeared in flashes of blue light as their jump drives finished bringing them across the galaxy. The massive alien fleet stretched for millions of miles in every direction like a deadly metal cloud blocking out the stars. Admiral Zektar stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the final ships arrive. His forearms moved across control panels as he counted the vessels under his command. 3,200 ships from 12 different worlds had answered the call to deal with the human problem. The Vraxian Empire had provided 800 warships. The hegemony brought 700 of their best fighters. Even the usually neutral Keth Collective had sent 500 vessels to join this mission. The humans had been in space for less than 50 years, but they were already causing problems. They had established a colony in this system without asking permission from any of the established galactic powers. They traded with whoever they wanted and ignored the careful balance that had kept peace for centuries. Worse yet, they seemed to think they could expand wherever they pleased without consequences. Zektar's tactical display showed the human colony on the third planet. 20,000 humans lived there in what looked like a peaceful farming settlement. Intelligence reports said they had basic defenses but nothing that could threaten a serious military force. The humans had to learn their place in the galaxy before they caused real trouble. Commander Thalok approached with the latest reports. The tall insect-like being clicked his mandibles as he spoke through the translation device. Admiral, the final ships are in position. All fleet commanders report ready for the attack. We detected one human ship in the outer system, but it appears to be alone. One ship? Zektar laughed with all three of his mouths. The humans sent one ship to face our entire fleet? Are they completely insane, or do they not understand what they are facing? Thalok checked his datapad again. The vessel appears to be their USS Defiance according to our scans. It is approximately 800 meters long with a crew of about 200. Standard human design based on the ships we have observed before. No unusual energy signatures detected. Zektar studied the tactical display showing the tiny human ship positioned between his fleet and the colony. It looked like a small fish trying to protect itself from a school of sharks. The whole situation seemed almost insulting. Did the humans really think so little of galactic military power, that they would send a single vessel against the largest combined fleet assembled in decades? Open a channel to the human ship, Zektar ordered. Let us see if their captain is as foolish as their leaders. The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of the human vessel. A man in a blue uniform sat in the captain's chair looking completely calm, despite facing impossible odds. He had short brown hair and steady green eyes that showed no fear. Behind him, other humans worked at their stations as if this was just another normal day. I am Admiral Zektar of the Vraxian Empire, the alien leader announced. You are Captain Morrison, I assume. I am here representing the united will of 12 galactic civilizations. Your people have violated established territorial boundaries and ignored proper colonization protocols. This ends today. Captain Jake Morrison nodded politely. Admiral, I am indeed Captain Morrison of the USS Defiance. I represent the human colony in this system and the United Earth government. We are prepared to discuss any concerns about our presence here. Zektar's eyes widened in disbelief. The human was talking about discussion while facing 3,000 warships. There will be no discussion, Captain. You have one choice. Order your colonists to abandon this world immediately and return to Earth. Your expansion ends here. If you refuse, we will remove you by force. Morrison looked around his bridge at his crew. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, sat at her station running final system checks. Commander Pete Sullivan monitored the engineering displays, while Lieutenant Lisa Carter handled communications. None of them seemed worried about the massive alien fleet surrounding them. Admiral, I appreciate your position, but humans do not abandon their people. Morrison said calmly. We will defend this colony and our right to exist in space. If you choose to attack us, then we will respond appropriately. Zektar could not believe what he was hearing. Captain, do you understand what you are facing? I have 3,000 ships under my command. You have one. Your vessel will be destroyed in seconds if this comes to battle. Surrender now and your people can live. Morrison smiled slightly. Admiral, you seem very confident in your numbers. That has always been the galactic way, hasn't it? Build bigger fleets and assume that quantity equals victory. Humans learned long ago that there are other approaches to warfare. Other approaches? Thalok whispered to his admiral. What could they possibly mean by that? Zektar was growing angry at the human's calm attitude. Captain, you are either brave or stupid. I cannot decide which. You have 10 minutes to begin evacuation procedures. After that, my fleet will open fire on your ship and then proceed to the colony. End transmission. The screen went dark, but Morrison continued to sit calmly in his chair. Rodriguez looked up from her tactical station. Captain, all systems are ready. The exotic matter reactor is at full power and the temporal field generators are online. Very good, Amy, Morrison replied. Lisa, open a channel to Governor Thompson on the surface. Let her know we are about to begin. Carter's fingers danced across her console. Channel open, Captain. Governor, this is Morrison. Are your people ready down there? The voice of Governor Lisa Thompson came through clearly. Captain, all civilians are in the shelters and our defensive systems are active. The colony is ready. Understood, Governor. We will handle things up here. Defiance out. Morrison stood and walked to the main screen, which now showed the massive alien fleet beginning to move into attack formation. Thousands of ships were arranging themselves in perfect military order, like a textbook battle formation. They moved slowly and predictably, just as humans had expected they would. Pete, how are our power levels? Morrison asked his chief engineer. Commander Sullivan checked his displays. All systems operating within normal parameters, Captain. The quantum field generator is stable and ready for deployment. We can maintain full power for as long as needed. Morrison nodded and returned to his command chair. The 10 minutes Zektar had given them were almost up. Soon the aliens would discover why Earth had sent only one ship to defend an entire star system. Soon they would learn that humans had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. Amy, Morrison said quietly. When they attack, show them why we only needed one ship. Rodriguez's hands moved to her control panel. Aye, Captain. Ready to engage temporal field on your command. The massive alien fleet finished forming up and began moving toward the tiny human vessel. 3,000 ships against one. It should have been the shortest battle in galactic history. Instead, it was about to become the most important lesson the galaxy had ever received about underestimating humanity. The 10 minutes passed like hours as both fleets prepared for battle. Admiral Zektar watched his tactical display with satisfaction as his ships moved into their attack formation. The formation was a classic galactic military pattern that had been used successfully for over 1,000 years. His vessels formed 3 massive waves that would overwhelm the single human ship through pure numbers and firepower. Admiral, all ships report ready for combat, Commander Thelok announced. The first wave consists of 400 fighters and light cruisers. They will disable the human vessel while the second and third waves stand ready to support. Zektar nodded approvingly. He wanted to capture the human ship intact if possible. Earth technology might prove useful, and he needed prisoners to interrogate about their homeworld's defenses. Order the first wave to target engines and weapons only. I want that ship crippled, not destroyed. The USS Defiance hung in space, looking impossibly small against the approaching alien armada. Captain Morrison stood calmly on his bridge, watching the enemy ships move closer. His crew worked quietly at their stations, showing no signs of fear or panic, despite facing overwhelming odds. Captain, the lead alien ships are within range, Rodriguez reported from her tactical station. I'm detecting standard plasma cannons and particle beam weapons. Nothing we haven't seen before in the intelligence reports, Morrison nodded. Any sign they have developed new technology since our last observations? Negative, Captain, Rodriguez replied. They appear to be using the same weapon systems and defensive shields that have been standard in galactic fleets for centuries. No innovation detected. Commander Sullivan looked up from his engineering station. Captain, our exotic matter reactor is running perfectly. All temporal field generators are online and ready for activation. Power output is steady at maximum safe levels. Morrison smiled slightly. The aliens still don't understand what they are facing, do they, Pete? No, sir, Sullivan replied. Their sensors can't detect our quantum field generators because they don't know such technology exists. To them, we just look like another conventional starship. Lieutenant Carter turned from her communications console. Captain, I'm intercepting alien transmissions. They are discussing how to divide up our crew for interrogation after they capture us. Admiral Zektar wants to question you personally about Earth's military capabilities. Morrison chuckled. I'm sure he does, Lisa. Soon he will have more important things to worry about. On the alien flagship, Zektar was growing impatient. Why hasn't the human ship moved to attack or tried to flee? Are they planning to simply sit there and be destroyed? Thelok studied his sensor readings with growing confusion. Admiral, I am detecting unusual energy patterns from the human vessel. Their power output seems much higher than should be possible for a ship that size. The readings don't match any known propulsion or weapons technology. Explain, Zektar demanded. I cannot, sir, Thelok admitted. The energy signature appears to be coming from their engineering section, but it doesn't correspond to any known reactor design. The humans may have developed something new. Zektar dismissed the concern with a wave of his hand. Whatever technology they have, it cannot matter against 3,000 ships. Order the first wave to attack. The alien fighters began their final approach toward the USS Defiance. They moved in perfect formation, keeping their weapons trained on the human ship's engines and weapon systems. The alien pilots were confident and experienced, having fought dozens of battles across the galaxy. This should be the easiest victory of their careers, Amy, Morrison said quietly. Show them why we only needed one ship. Rodriguez's hands moved across her control panel with practiced precision. Activating temporal displacement field now, Captain. The space around the USS Defiance suddenly shimmered like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The effect spread outward in all directions, creating an invisible sphere of altered space-time, with the human ship at its center. To outside observers, nothing seemed to change, but the laws of physics had just been rewritten in that region of space. The first alien fighter to enter the field experienced something impossible. Time itself began to slow down around the ship, while the pilot's perception remained normal. His vessel's controls responded sluggishly as if moving through thick liquid. His weapons fired in slow motion while his engines struggled against the altered flow of time. What is happening to my ship? The pilot screamed into his communicator. But his words reached the fleet at normal speed while his fighter moved as if trapped in amber. More alien ships entered the temporal field and immediately found themselves caught in the same impossible situation. Their vessels moved in slow motion, while the USS Defiance operated at normal speed. The human ship glided between the helpless alien fighters like a shark swimming through a school of paralyzed fish. Rodriguez targeted the alien ships with surgical precision. The Defiance's weapons fired conventional plasma bolts, but the aliens could not dodge or return fire effectively while trapped in slowed time. One by one, the alien fighters found their engines disabled and their weapon systems destroyed. They drifted helplessly as the human ship moved on to the next target. Impossible, Zektar whispered, as he watched his first wave become completely helpless. Thelok, what are the humans doing to our ships? The commander frantically checked his instruments but could make no sense of the readings. Admiral, the humans appear to have created some kind of localized field effect that is interfering with our ship's ability to maneuver. I have never seen anything like this in all my years of service. On the human ship, Sullivan monitored their exotic matter reactor with careful attention. Captain, the quantum field is stable and holding at optimal levels. We can maintain this effect indefinitely without strain on our systems. Morrison watched as the last ships of the alien first wave drifted powerless in space. Excellent work, everyone. Lisa, open a channel to the alien fleet. Carter activated the communication system. Channel open, Captain. Morrison stood and faced the main screen. Admiral Zektar, I hope you are beginning to understand why Earth sent only one ship. Your conventional military thinking is obsolete. We have moved beyond the limitations that constrain your fleets. Zektar's face appeared on the screen, showing a mixture of confusion and growing fear. Captain, what have you done to my ships? What kind of weapon are you using? We are not using a weapon, Admiral, Morrison replied calmly. We have simply applied human scientific advancement to the problem of space combat. While your civilization spent centuries building bigger ships and more powerful guns, we focused on changing the fundamental nature of warfare itself. Rodriguez expanded the temporal field to encompass more space around their position. Any alien ship that entered the zone would find itself trapped in slowed time, while the USS Defiance remained free to act at normal speed. The human tactical advantage was absolute within the field's boundaries. Captain, the second wave of alien ships is approaching, Rodriguez reported. They appear to be maintaining distance and trying to analyze what happened to the first wave. Morrison nodded. They are learning caution. Good. Fear is the beginning of wisdom. Thelok's voice came over the communications channel as he spoke frantically to his admiral. Sir, we must withdraw immediately. The humans have technology that makes our weapons useless. We cannot fight an enemy that can control time itself. but Zektar was too proud to retreat before a single enemy ship. The alien admiral stared at the USS Defiance with a mixture of hatred and grudging respect. The humans had just demonstrated that they possessed capabilities far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. 400 of his best ships now drifted helplessly in space, their crews alive but completely unable to fight. Morrison could see the conflict playing out on Zektar's face. Pride warred with tactical reality as the alien commander struggled to accept that his massive fleet had been neutralized by technology he did not understand. The captain knew this was only the beginning. Soon the aliens would discover that the USS Defiance was not just one ship with advanced weapons, but the tip of an iceberg that would reshape their understanding of human capabilities forever. Admiral Zektar stared at his tactical display in growing horror. 400 of his finest ships drifted powerless in space, their crews alive but unable to control their vessels. The impossible had happened. A single human ship had neutralized an entire attack wave without taking any damage or even appearing to strain its systems. "Admiral, we must withdraw immediately," Commander Thelok urged. "The humans possess technology that makes conventional warfare obsolete. We cannot fight an enemy that can manipulate time itself." Zektar's pride would not allow him to retreat before one enemy vessel. Impossible. No single ship can defeat 3,000. There must be an explanation. Perhaps their field effect has limited range or duration. Order the second wave to maintain distance and probe their capabilities. On the USS Defiance, Captain Morrison opened a channel to the entire alien fleet. His calm voice reached every ship in the massive armada as thousands of alien crew members listened to his words. "Leaders of the Galactic Coalition, I want to explain something to you. You are confused about why Earth sent only one ship to face your fleet. You assume we are either ignorant of galactic military standards or possess some single advanced weapon. Both assumptions are wrong." Lieutenant Carter monitored the alien communications channels as species representatives began arguing among themselves. The Vraxians wanted to continue the attack, believing that human technology must have limitations. The hegemony suggested opening negotiations to learn more about human capabilities. The Keth Collective proposed immediate withdrawal, claiming the mission had become too dangerous to continue. Morrison continued his broadcast. "For 2 centuries, humanity studied every piece of galactic technology we could obtain. We analyzed your weapons, your ships, your tactics, and your strategies. We learned from your successes and, more importantly, from your failures. While you spent those same centuries building larger fleets and more powerful conventional weapons, we focused on revolutionizing warfare itself." Commander Sullivan adjusted the exotic matter reactors output, allowing Rodriguez to demonstrate the USS Defiance's secondary capabilities. The human ship began to phase partially out of normal spacetime, becoming translucent as it shifted between dimensions. Alien weapons fired at their position passed harmlessly through the vessel, while it remained able to affect normal matter. "Observe," Morrison said as his ship became a ghost that could touch the physical world but could not be touched in return. "We have not just learned to manipulate time. We have learned to exist partially outside your reality while still operating within it. Your weapons cannot harm us, but we can still harm you." Thelok's instruments showed readings that violated everything he understood about physics. "Admiral, the human ship has somehow altered its quantum state. It exists in our dimension but also exists somewhere else at the same time. This should be impossible according to all known scientific principles." Zektar watched in fascination and terror as the USS Defiance solidified back into normal space. The humans had just demonstrated 2 completely revolutionary technologies in the span of minutes. If they possessed such capabilities, what other impossible advances might they have developed? Morrison's voice filled the alien fleet's communication channels again. "You wonder how we achieved these breakthroughs? The answer is simple. While your civilizations grew comfortable with existing technology, humans refused to accept limitations. We pushed theoretical physics to its absolute boundaries and beyond. We turned science fiction into science fact." The alien species representatives were now openly debating whether to continue the mission. Lieutenant Carter translated their conversations for the human crew. "Captain, the hegemony is demanding explanations from Admiral Zektar about why their intelligence reports never mentioned human temporal manipulation technology. The Keth Collective is accusing the Vraxians of leading them into a trap. The coalition is fracturing." Morrison nodded with satisfaction. "Fear and confusion are powerful weapons, Lisa. Sometimes, the threat of unknown capabilities is more effective than actually using those capabilities." Rodriguez monitored the alien fleet's movements from her tactical station. Captain, the second wave is maintaining distance, but I'm detecting increased energy signatures from their weapon systems. They appear to be preparing for a coordinated assault from multiple directions simultaneously. They think that numbers can overcome our technological advantages, Morrison observed. Admiral Zektar believes that even if we can manipulate space and time, we cannot defend against 3,000 ships attacking at once. He is about to learn how wrong that assumption is. Commander Sullivan brought up additional displays showing the status of hidden installations throughout the star system. Captain, all defensive platforms report ready. The network has been quietly activating while we kept their attention focused on our ship. Morrison smiled. Excellent, Pete. It's time to show them that the USS Defiance was never meant to fight alone. The captain opened another channel to the alien fleet. Admiral Zektar, you are preparing to gamble your entire armada on one massive coordinated attack. You believe that superior numbers will overcome our technological advantages. This assumption reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of human strategic thinking. Zektar's image appeared on the main screen, his alien features twisted with frustration and growing desperation. Captain, whatever technology you possess, it cannot protect you from 3,000 ships firing simultaneously. Your single vessel will be overwhelmed no matter how advanced your defenses. Admiral, you still don't understand? Morrison replied patiently. You see one human ship and assume we are alone. This is exactly the kind of conventional thinking that makes galactic military doctrine obsolete. Humans don't fight fair, Admiral. We don't send one ship to face 3,000. We make you think we sent one ship while actually deploying an entire defensive network. Morrison nodded to Rodriguez, who activated systems that had been hidden throughout the Kepler 442 system for decades. Suddenly, the alien sensors detected dozens of installations that had been invisible moments before. Quantum field generators built into asteroids activated, creating overlapping zones of temporal manipulation. Defensive platforms hidden in the outer system came online, revealing themselves for the first time. Impossible. Fellow gasped as his displays showed the true scope of human preparation. Admiral, there are defensive installations throughout this entire star system. They have been here for years, completely undetected by our sensors. The humans didn't send one ship to defend this colony. They turned the entire system into a fortress. Zektar stared at the tactical display showing dozens of human installations, creating interlocking fields of effect around his fleet. The humans had not just sent one advanced ship. They had quietly built a defensive network that could trap his entire armada in zones of altered spacetime. Morrison's voice carried a note of satisfaction as he delivered his final revelation. Admiral, you came here expecting to face a primitive colony defended by outdated human technology. Instead, you have discovered that we spent decades preparing for exactly this scenario. Every piece of galactic intelligence we gathered, every tactical analysis we performed, and every scientific breakthrough we achieved was focused on this moment. The alien fleet found itself surrounded by an invisible web of temporal fields and quantum distortions that could activate at any moment. What had seemed like a simple military operation against an isolated human colony had become a trap that could destroy the largest combined fleet ever assembled by galactic civilization. Morrison looked out at the stars, knowing that the real test was about to begin. The aliens would either surrender and accept humanity's place in the galaxy, or they would force him to demonstrate the full devastating potential of human innovation applied to warfare. Admiral Zektar faced the most difficult decision of his military career. His massive fleet was surrounded by an invisible network of human defensive installations that could manipulate space and time itself. Retreat would mean admitting defeat to a single human colony and accepting that everything the galaxy knew about warfare had become obsolete. Attack would risk the destruction of 3,000 ships and the lives of millions of crew members. Admiral, we must withdraw, Thelok pleaded. The humans have turned this entire star system into a trap. Our intelligence was completely wrong about their capabilities. We are facing technology that is centuries ahead of anything in the galaxy. But Zektar's pride would not allow him to retreat without firing a shot. No, I refuse to believe that humans have become so advanced. They have been in space for less than 50 years. There must be limitations to their technology. If we concentrate all our remaining ships for one coordinated assault, we can overwhelm whatever defenses they possess. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance watching. the alien fleet reformed for their final desperate attack. The massive armada was pulling into the tightest formation possible, with ships packed so close together they could barely maneuver. Zektar was gambling everything on the theory that sheer numbers and concentrated firepower could break through human defenses. "Captain, the alien fleet is moving into assault formation," Rodriguez reported from her tactical station. "All 3,000 remaining ships are concentrating for a simultaneous attack from multiple vectors. They plan to overwhelm our defensive grid through pure volume of fire." Morrison nodded calmly. "Desperation makes people predictable, Amy. Admiral Zektar is about to discover that humans always plan for worst-case scenarios." Lieutenant Carter opened a channel to the colony surface. "Captain, I have Governor Thompson on the line." "Governor, this is Morrison. Are your people secure?" Governor Lisa Thompson's voice came through clearly from the planet below. "Captain, all civilians are in the deep shelters and our surface installations are fully shielded. The colony is ready for whatever happens next." "Understood, Governor. We will handle the situation up here. The aliens are about to learn the full extent of human preparation." Morrison turned to Commander Sullivan. "Pete, activate the full defensive grid. Show them what happens when you threaten human civilians." Sullivan's hands moved across his engineering console, bringing online systems that had been dormant for decades. Throughout the Kepler 442 system, hidden installations began coordinating their quantum field generators. The invisible web of temporal manipulation that surrounded the alien fleet suddenly became active, creating overlapping zones of altered spacetime. The alien assault began with 3,000 ships firing simultaneously. Plasma bolts and particle beams filled space as the largest military force in galactic history unleashed its full destructive power. But instead of reaching their targets, the weapons entered the human defensive grid and became trapped in temporal loops. "What is happening to our weapons fire?" Zektar demanded as his tactical display showed energy beams moving in slow motion, or freezing completely in space. Telok stared at his instruments in horror. "Admiral, the humans have created zones where time moves at different speeds. Our weapons are being slowed down or trapped in temporal bubbles. Some of our energy beams are experiencing the same few seconds over and over again." The human defensive network did more than just slow down incoming attacks. Ships that entered certain zones found themselves experiencing time differently than their neighboring vessels. Some alien crews watched in terror as friendly ships appeared to freeze in space, while others seemed to move in fast forward. The carefully coordinated attack dissolved into chaos as units lost synchronization with each other. Rodriguez coordinated the defensive grid from her station on the USS Defiance. "Captain, the alien formation is breaking apart. Ships in different temporal zones can't communicate effectively with each other. Their crews are becoming disoriented as they experience time at different rates." Morrison watched the alien fleet tear itself apart without the humans firing a single shot. The galaxy spent so long focusing on bigger weapons and stronger shields that they never considered what would happen if the battlefield itself became the weapon. Some alien ships began firing on each other as their crews became confused about which vessels were enemies and which were allies. The temporal distortions affected their perception of time and space, making it impossible to distinguish between friend and foe. What had started as a coordinated assault became a chaotic free-for-all as ships attacked anything that moved. Commander Sullivan monitored the exotic matter reactors powering the defensive grid. "Captain, all installations are operating within normal parameters. We can maintain this level of temporal manipulation indefinitely. The alien fleet is completely trapped." Zektar watched his proud armada dissolve into confusion and panic. Ships that had fought together for years suddenly turned their weapons on each other. Crews that had served with distinction across the galaxy became helpless victims of their own altered perception of reality. "Admiral, we must surrender," Telok begged. "The humans are not just defeating us. They are making us defeat ourselves. This is beyond warfare. This is complete domination through superior science." Morrison opened a channel to the alien flagship. "Admiral Zektar, I hope you now understand why Earth sent only one ship. We never intended to fight your fleet in conventional battle. We intended to demonstrate that conventional battle itself is obsolete." Zektar's image appeared on the screen, showing an alien commander completely broken by the impossibility of his situation. "Captain Morrison, what do you want from us? Your technology makes resistance pointless. We cannot fight an enemy that controls time itself. I want recognition, Admiral." Morrison replied. Recognition that humanity has earned its place in the galaxy. Recognition that we will expand and colonize as we see fit. Recognition that any attempt to threaten human colonies will result in consequences your military cannot comprehend. The alien admiral looked around his bridge at crew members who were struggling to understand what had happened to their mighty fleet. 3,000 ships had been reduced to helpless victims of their own confusion, without the humans needing to destroy a single vessel. Morrison continued speaking in his calm, steady voice. Admiral, your fleet came here to teach humanity a lesson about galactic power. Instead, you have learned that power no longer comes from the size of your army or the strength of your weapons. Power comes from understanding the universe in ways your enemies cannot imagine. Sullivan brought up displays showing the status of human installations throughout the system. Captain, all defensive platforms remain fully operational. The alien fleet is completely neutralized, but we have not harmed their ships or crews. They are simply unable to fight effectively while trapped in our temporal fields. Morrison smiled with satisfaction. Pete, that was always the plan. We wanted to show the galaxy that we could defeat their largest fleet without killing anyone. Dead martyrs inspire resistance. Humiliated survivors spread the word that humans are not to be threatened. Zektar finally understood the full scope of what had happened. The humans had not just won a military victory. They had demonstrated that they possessed technology so advanced it made the entire galactic order obsolete. Any species that threatened humanity would face consequences beyond their ability to resist or even comprehend. The Admiral looked directly at Morrison through the communication link. Captain, what happens now? My fleet is defeated and my crews are helpless. Do you plan to destroy us or will you allow us to return home? Morrison considered the question carefully. The next few minutes would determine whether this confrontation ended in peace or escalated into a war that would reshape the entire galaxy. Everything humanity had worked toward for 2 centuries came down to this moment. Captain Morrison looked at Admiral Zektar's defeated image on the main screen and made a decision that would reshape galactic civilization. The alien commander sat broken in his command chair, surrounded by crew members who could barely comprehend what had happened to their mighty fleet. 3,000 ships floated helplessly in space, trapped by human technology that made conventional warfare obsolete. Admiral Zektar, I have no desire to destroy your fleet or harm your people, Morrison said calmly. Humanity did not seek this confrontation. You brought your armada here to threaten our colony and force us to abandon our rightful place in space. We have demonstrated that such threats are meaningless against human innovation. Zektar's forearms trembled as he struggled to maintain his composure. Captain Morrison, what do you want from us? Your technology has made our weapons useless and our tactics obsolete. We cannot fight an enemy that controls the fundamental forces of the universe. Morrison walked closer to the main screen. Admiral, I want you to return to your respective governments and tell them exactly what happened here. Tell them that humanity will expand peacefully into space, but we will defend ourselves against anyone who tries to stop us. Tell them that the age of galactic bullying is over. Lieutenant Carter monitored communications from the trapped alien fleet as species representatives began contacting their home worlds. The messages being sent across the galaxy would forever change how other civilizations viewed humanity. No longer would humans be seen as primitive newcomers who could be pushed around by established powers. Captain, I'm detecting incoming transmissions from Earth, Carter reported. High Command wants a status report on the situation. Morrison nodded. Put them through, Lisa. The face of Admiral Patricia Hayes appeared on a secondary screen. Captain Morrison, we've been monitoring the situation from Earth. Are you and the colony secure? Yes, Admiral. The alien fleet has been neutralized without casualties on either side. We are prepared to begin formal diplomatic contact with galactic civilization. Admiral Hayes smiled with evident relief. Outstanding work, Captain. You and your crew have accomplished something remarkable. How are you proceeding with the aliens? Morrison glanced at the tactical display showing the helpless enemy ships. We're offering them safe passage home in exchange for formal recognition of human territorial rights. This was always meant to be a demonstration, Admiral, not a war. Commander Sullivan deactivated sections of the temporal field grid, allowing some alien ships to regain normal movement. The gesture was carefully calculated to show that human technology could be turned off as easily as it was turned on. The USS Defiance held absolute power over the situation, but was choosing mercy over destruction. Zektar watched his ship slowly return to normal operation and felt a mixture of relief and humiliation. Captain, why are you releasing us? You could destroy our entire fleet or hold us prisoner until our governments agree to your demands. Morrison's expression remained calm and patient. Admiral, because that is not who humans are. We defend ourselves when threatened, but we do not seek conquest or revenge. We want to join galactic civilization as equals, not as conquerors. Governor Thompson's voice came through from the colony surface. Captain, the civilian population is requesting permission to return to normal activities. The children are asking if the scary alien ships are going away. Morrison smiled slightly. Tell them yes, Governor. The aliens will be leaving soon and they won't be coming back as enemies. Theloke approached his admiral's chair with a data pad containing preliminary analysis of human technology. Sir, our scientists have been studying the energy signatures from their temporal fields. The physics involved should be impossible according to everything we know about the universe. The humans have advanced beyond our understanding in ways we never imagined. Morrison opened a general channel to address all the alien ships simultaneously. Leaders of the Galactic Coalition, you came here believing that humanity was a primitive species that needed to be controlled. You have discovered that we are in fact more advanced than any civilization in known space. This changes everything. The captain gestured to Commander Sullivan, who began sharing basic theoretical principles behind temporal manipulation technology. The information was carefully limited to mathematical concepts without revealing practical applications, but it was enough to prove that human science had progressed far beyond galactic norms. We are sharing this knowledge as a gesture of good faith, Morrison announced. Humanity wants to work with other species, not dominate them. But we will never again tolerate threats against our people or our right to expand peacefully into space. Rodriguez detected movement from the alien fleet as ships began reorganizing into departure formations. Captain, the aliens are preparing to withdraw. Admiral Zektar has ordered his fleet to return to their respective homeworlds. Morrison nodded approvingly. They've learned what they came here to learn, Amy. The question now is whether they choose cooperation or continued hostility. Admiral Zektar's image reappeared on the main screen. The alien commander looked older and wiser than he had just hours before. Captain Morrison, you have given me and my people much to think about. Your demonstration today will be reported to every government in the galaxy. I believe most will choose to seek peaceful relations with humanity. That is our hope, Admiral, Morrison replied. The galaxy is large enough for all of us to prosper. Humanity offers friendship and cooperation to any species willing to treat us as equals. Zektar stood slowly from his command chair. Captain, I came here as your enemy, but I leave with respect for your people. You could have destroyed us, but instead you showed mercy. That says more about human character than all your advanced technology. The alien fleet began departing the Kepler 442 system in small groups. Ships from different species separated to return to their homeworlds carrying news that would reshape galactic politics. The massive armada that had arrived to crush human expansion was leaving in defeat, but also carrying hope for a better future. Morrison watched the last alien ships disappear into hyperspace before turning to address his crew. Everyone did outstanding work today. We've accomplished something that seemed impossible just this morning. We've secured humanity's place in the galaxy without firing a shot in anger. Governor Thompson contacted the ship from the colony surface. Captain, the civilian population wants to hold a celebration. They're calling this Independence Day for the colony, and maybe for all of humanity. Morrison smiled as he looked out at the stars where human settlements would soon spread across dozens of worlds. Tell them to celebrate, Governor. Today humanity grew up and took its place among the stars. Lieutenant Carter was monitoring long-range communications as news of the confrontation spread across the galaxy. Captain, I'm detecting increased diplomatic traffic between alien governments. Several species are already requesting formal meetings with Earth representatives. Morrison nodded with satisfaction. The age of human isolation is over, Lisa. What happens next will determine whether we become partners with galactic civilization or its leaders. Commander Sullivan powered down the exotic matter reactor to standby levels. Captain, the temporal field generators are shutting down normally. All defensive installations are returning to passive monitoring mode. The system is secure. As the USS Defiance settled into a standard orbit around the human colony, Morrison reflected on what they had accomplished. A single ship had faced the largest fleet in galactic history and emerged victorious through superior technology and careful planning. But more importantly, they had proven that humanity deserved respect and recognition As a spacefaring civilization, the question of why humans had sent only one ship had been answered. One ship was enough to change everything. One ship was enough to announce that humanity had arrived among the stars and would not be moved by threats or intimidation. One ship was enough to begin a new chapter in galactic history, where humans would play a central role in shaping the future of civilized space. Morrison looked ahead to challenges that would come as Earth expanded its presence in the galaxy, but he faced them with confidence. Humanity had proven they could defend themselves against any threat. Now they would prove they could build a better future for all species willing to embrace progress and cooperation over fear and aggression.